Hi, this is Vicky with Learning Home Volunteers, and we're going to be reading Rosie Revere, Engineer, by Andrea Beaty and illustrated by David Roberts. You know, an engineer is someone who builds things, kind of like Bob the Builder, and Rosie builds things too. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lilla Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, daring not to speak. Can you find her? Is there anyone not speaking? Oh, look, there she is. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. But late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Look, she's collecting all the things out of the trash that no one else wants. I wonder what she's going to build. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never been seen. Look at all the fun things she's built. Look, there's a spaceship, a plane, a rocket. I don't know what's happening here. Looks interesting though, doesn't it? When Rosie was young, she had been so shy. She'd worked with her hair swooping up over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Oh, look, when you wear the helium plants, you fly. Love that. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep the snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which always keeps the pythons away. Oh, look, there's a python. Guess they don't like cheese, huh? And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Franz slapped his knee and chuckled out loud. He laughed until he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who had stood there all embarrassed, perplexed, and amazed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. Oh, I love it, I truly do. But Rosie Revere knew that that could not be true, and she stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf. And after that day, she kept the dreams to herself. That wasn't so funny, not so nice, huh? And that's how it went until one autumn day her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great great Aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building planes a long time ago. She told Rosie of tales of things that she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. My only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time lingers as long as one might hope. I'll chalk it up to an old lady's dreams. Oh, she wants to fly. That night, as Rosie laid wide eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? Then she looked at the cheese hat and said, no, not I. But questions are tricky, and some may hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when the dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew she just had to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked until the day was half gone. She hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it may turn out to be. Huh, I wonder how that's going to work. Let's see. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch, and the Hello Cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and around, then froze for the heartbeat and came crashing to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned around to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed until she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or built with a lever, a switch, or a gear. I will never be a great engineer." She turned round to leave, but the great great Aunt Rose grabbed a hold of the young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's perfect for a first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, and perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Oh, yes," said the great aunt, "it crashed, that is true. But first it did what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy. On to the next." And she handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked on it till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. And look what this says. It says, "We can do it." At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere.